That skill that I want to talk about in this video is not a secret skill that will take you from beginner to advanced developer, and it's not out of the box. It is a feature that all developers know about, but instead we ignore it, or don't know how to use it, or simply don't know how important it is and what it can teach us. Alright, you ready? I'm talking about debugging. Told you something very simple, yet ignored by a lot of developers, simply because it is hard, that it is faster to let ChatGPT do the thinking, or they don't know how to use the built-in debugger tool to debug the code line by line. Here's the thing, I was the developer who looked down on debugging. If my code breaks, I used to panic, so I paste my code into ChatGPT and let it do the thinking. I wasted the opportunity to grow as a developer and improve my problem-solving skills by simply letting ChatGPT do the thinking. But fortunately, I learned how important the debugger is in an internship as a software developer. I had a task to implement a new feature inside a desktop application. I was given a large code base, and at first glance, I looked at it and said, how am I supposed to understand all this? It was hard at first, so I had to think of something to help me understand it more. I learned the built-in debugger of the IDE, and this is where everything changed. I was able to fully understand the software. With the debugger, I was able to understand line by line, and I took notes at each step to fully grasp the idea, which eventually allowed me to add the feature that I needed to add. Not to forget, debugging is a skill that you need in the job market, because the majority of your time in a job will be spent on reading code and debugging it, so you have to be good at those two. They are way more important than writing code. So there are many forms of debugging. The one I'm talking about specifically in this video is the built-in debugger of your IDE. And it is when you add breakpoints in your code and trace your code line by line, and you see the watch list to view the values of your variables. There's also manual debugging, where you examine, for example, server logs that can tell you, for example, if a connection is successful or not. Or use print debugging. The process of adding print statements to display the variables in the console is also a very good way of debugging. And there's the process of you reading your code line by line, logically thinking how the program is working, maybe grab a sheet of paper and write down how the variables are changing in your program. All of those three ways of debugging are really helpful. The last two were manual debugging, which they are also great. But since there is a built-in debugger, let's go ahead and take advantage of it and use it to understand our code. Here's an example that we can tackle together. I have this small calculator program that is causing an error. And for the sake of this example, let us consider that we are given a large code base and we need to solve an error in it. The problem is that when I want to change an operator to another, it's not changing. So let us use the built-in debugger to discover what's the problem. First, I will add breakpoints to the function that is responsible for this error or for this logical error. And now I can go ahead and debug. You can see that there is the watch list below that can help you view the values of your variable. Now, because I care about the feature of changing the operator, I could skip whatever is happening now until I arrive to what I need. Now I want to change plus to minus. If I do that, we'll go to the debugger and we'll go line by line until we reach the third condition, which we can see is the one responsible for the error. And since changeOp variable holds the answer of the message box, I'm going to add it to my watch list. Now we answer yes to the message box. It goes to the condition but exits immediately. Now I understood that I am comparing if yes is different than yes, then do that. But that's not what I want. If the answer is yes, I want to change the operator. So the condition here is wrong. Then I have to change it to equal to. And now this feature is running good. See, this was a very simple logical mistake. But with the debugger, it was very easy for me to determine the problem and fix it. Now imagine you are going through a large code base and you need to find a bug. You have to debug. You have to be familiar with the debugger of your IDE. Consider it as your best friend. It will help you catch bugs, understand your code, and helps you think and encourages you to find the problem. And as developers, problem-solving skills is very important. And to train yourself to become a good problem solver, you have to practice debugging because it is very good to help you think and tackle a problem like a real developer. And it helps you not to rely on ChatGPT, but to rely on yourself to solve a problem with debugging. Alright, this is it for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and from now on, make sure you start debugging. It will help you a lot as a developer. Alright then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.